discussing how contractors can finish strong and finish well when they decide to exit their business. This is the Contractor Succession Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Contractor Succession Podcast, where our focus is on helping contractors finish strong and finish well when they decide to exit their business. However, we also discuss how contractors are building their business, so it is not only valuable when it is time to leave, but also great to operate on a daily basis. I have a very special guest with me today, and his name is Dan Silvert. And by the way, my name is Marty Wolff, but my guest is Dan Silvert. Hi, Dan. Welcome to the show.
Welcome. Hi, Marty. Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to have a great discussion. Well, I've started out the relationship with your company, which is a Velocity Advisory Group. Boy, that's already a few months ago, Dan. And we've been talking, and I thought it would be great to have you on our show. We're going to be talking about all kinds of businesses today, not only contractors, but Dan has all kinds of experience. And so we're going to learn a lot from Dan. So let me introduce him. His name is, again, Dan Silvert. He is a behavioral expert, keynote speaker, and executive coach. As president of Velocity Advisory Group, Dan has guided organizations through cultural transformations, coached hundreds of leaders to greater organizational and career success, and trained thousands of sales professionals to increased revenues through the power of deep relationships. Dan is the author of Taking Flight and The True Competitive Advantage, which was released in 2019. And Dan's clients have included Aflac Insurance, Biogen, Crump Insurance, GAF, Genentech, Homeland Security, Intercontinental Hotels Group, and Janssen Pharmaceuticals. Dan, the true competitive advantage. That's what we're going to kind of be talking about today, right? The stuff's in here.
Terrific.
So, yeah, we read the book. It was great. And Scott Good wanted to join us today, but we have him on special assignment. So it's just you and I today. So let's start here, Dan. So I always kind of like to ask this question to kind of give us a setup, if you will. So what professional experiences either encouraged or inspired you to write this book, The True Competitive Advantage?
Well, I've been very fortunate in my career to coach many executives. And the pattern that I see overwhelmingly is that people, generally speaking, are good at their jobs, especially if they get to a certain level in their careers. They know what they're doing. And the issues that they have do not revolve around technical competencies. They're people problems. And the people problems just drive them to enormous distraction and drama. And if you're a leader, that drama cascades and it creates all kinds of complications for your organization. And it just dawned on me that most of the drama is unnecessary. It was born of misunderstanding, misconstruing the intent of the people that they were working with, working for, or who were working for them. And so I thought, okay, I'm just going to put out it's not a big read. You probably got through it fairly quickly. A book that describes why people say and do what they do, why it bothers you, depending on your particular set of styles, and what you can do about it to lower the drama, build healthier relationships, and get more done. Because at the end of the day, we're all trying to be as productive as possible so that we can be successful.
The subtitle of your book, again, the title is The True Competitive Advantage. The subtitle is A Practical Guide to Achieving Extraordinary Success Through Deep Relationships. So maybe we should go a little deeper on what's in this book. And so start that any way that you want.
Sure.
There's a whole story behind it. And so you can tell the story.
All right, terrific. Well, thank you, Marty. So there are four basic drivers of behavior. And there's a model that I use that's been around a long time. It's called DISC, D-I-S-C. But instead of talking about acronyms, we use birds. We use these metaphors because if a metaphor is good, it's sticky.
Mm.
And if we can remember metaphors, and they're meaningful to us, then we actually use them. And I'm much less interested in interesting and much more interested in both interesting and useful.
Mm.
So let's do the birds. We've got eagles, parrots, doves, and owls. You want me to just take you through them real quick?
Yeah, that'd be great. Sure. I'd love to hear more about that. And I'm sure our audience would also.
All right, terrific. So an eagle style, if that's your primary style, has a fundamental focus. And for eagles, it's results. I mean, if you think of an eagle in the wild, right, that's an aggressive creature. That's a predator. So eagles in the wild dive bomb for prey pretty ferociously. Eagles in the workplace, they dive bomb for goals.
Mm.
Now, everybody cares about results and everybody has goals. But if you're an eagle or work with an eagle, the intensity around goal acquisition is just greater.
Hmm.
So what happens, for example, if you find yourself in between an eagle style and his or her goal, meaning you're in the way of
Yeah.
them accomplishing what they, right? Well,
Yeah.
the chances are pretty good that's not going to be the most pleasant experience, right?
Right. Yeah.
And you're going to be dealt with. And if you're not careful, you're going to make it personal. You're going to say to yourself, you're going to create a narrative and say, wow, I can't believe that person talked to me like that. What a fill in the blank, right?
Yeah.
And making it personal is the biggest mistake that we all make because it probably had nothing to do with you. Now, I'm not trying to excuse difficult or excuse me, obnoxious behavior, okay?
Right.
But if
Yeah.
we understand the origins of people's behaviors and we start taking it personally, well, then that lowers the drama, right? So
Mhm.
eagles are direct, decisive, bottom line focused, problem solving listeners. They go to work to advance the ball. They
Mhm.
don't build relationships for the sake of the relationship itself. They're
Right.
not listening to you to become more psychologically aware or emotionally close to you. They're listening to you to solve a problem.
Right.
And to the extent that you speak their language, they get to know you as a person. But they get
Yeah.
to know you as a person through that prism of productivity.
Right.
So
Okay.
eagles are misunderstood because the biggest misconception about eagle styles is that they're egotistical, that it's all about them, and that they don't really care about you. You're just a tool to help an eagle get what she needs to get done and nothing more.
Yeah.
And it's not true. It's not true. Eagles are not egotistical. They're just obsessed with winning.
Yeah.
So if you're working with an eagle, figure out how he or she defines the win, and now you're on their team.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
So that's eagles. Did I go too deep on that? All right.
Yeah. That's okay. Keep going.
All right. So
We're
let's
going
go
to
back.
connect all this. We're going to connect all this. So go ahead. Keep going.
Terrific. So parrots. So think about an actual parrot. Well, Marty, you tell me, what comes to mind when you think of a parrot? A real one.
Somebody who talks something or somebody who talks a lot and is probably very social, I guess. Am I accurate?
Yeah. Actual parrots are colorful. They're chatty.
Colorful.
They draw,
Yeah. Chatty.
they draw attention to themselves, right? And they're funny. They're upbeat. I mean, nobody buys a parrot because it's depressed,
Nope.
right? I mean, that would, or if you did, there's an issue there. They're upbeat, right?
Yeah.
Well, parrots in the workplace, they bring it. They bring this energy, this enthusiasm, this zest for adventure, right? And they don't want to wait for the weekend for that. They want to do that on Monday at 9:30 a.m. They just bring it,
Yeah.
right? The problem for parrots is that this is really distracting to other styles because the
Right.
eagles are looking at the parrots and going, "Okay, you're not serious,"
Yeah.
right? And the owls, which we'll get to in a moment, they're like, "Okay, you're just not rational. You're just right." And it's tough for parrots because the more fun parrots have, the harder they work.
Oh.
And
Hmm.
so it's kind of sad and a little funny, funny in a tragic way. You watch an eagle hire a parrot, eagle owl, let's say, and then they suck all the fun out of the room. And then they wonder why the parrot's not working that hard. And then they think, oh, bad hire. No, not bad hire, bad manager. Okay.
Yeah.
Unintentionally, unintentionally. It's not their goal, right? But
Yeah.
they're just misreading the situation. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, so that's parrot. By the way, my favorite parrot in the business world is Sir Richard Branson.
Mm.
Right?
Mm.
I'm
Yeah.
maybe dating myself and dating you a little bit because we know exactly who this guy is,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
But he's a flaming parrot. And when he launched Virgin Records, nobody expected him to turn it into an airline.
Yes.
right? How
Yeah.
many record companies become airlines, right? Well, if you read anything about Branson, he leads his company with a lot of parent energy, and Virgin is always ranked one of the top places to work in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
In
this
the
guy's
book,
a
by the way.
billionaire.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
In the book. I read about it in the book, in the True Competitive Advantage book, the
Yeah.
story. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't think parents want to work, then you're misreading it. Right? No one's ever accused Richard Branson of lacking work ethic.
Yeah.
Right?
Correct.
Okay.
Oh,
So now we go to doves. I'm going to ask you again, Marty. What comes to mind when you think of a dove in the wild, an actual dove?
an actual dove in the wild. I would say, well, first of all, I think they're pretty. I don't know if that's relevant. I would think more reserved, more calm.
So
Am I
what's
okay?
a dove the symbol of? The international symbol of?
Peace?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's going on there? All right. Well, when you think of an eagle, let's go back to eagles for a second and draw a contrast. You think of like a flock of eagles hanging out, chilling, enjoying life.
I see this coming.
Yeah, no, eagles are like lone rangers, right? So built into the eagle's DNA is that if I don't hunt, kill, and eat for myself, I will
Yeah.
die. Okay? Total self-reliance. But doves in the wild, they nest in huge flocks and they travel together. Right? So built into the dove's DNA in the wild is if the flock is threatened, well, I'm threatened.
Yeah.
So doves in the wild are all about their ecosystems. That's why they're the symbol of peace. Doves in the workplace are all about the culture, right?
Yeah.
If the
Hmm.
culture is going through stress and transition and lots of change, and nothing happened in 2020 that was stressful, right? So no
Right.
problem, right?
Yeah. Right.
Well, if other people are stressed out, doves are stressed out. They're very sensitive to what's going on around them,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And they
Right.
make very powerful leaders for that reason. Because if you're a leader with a lot of dove energy, it means that you are paying attention to your people and likely surfacing the collective intelligence of your
Yeah.
organization.
Yeah. I think you mentioned somebody you work with as a dove in the book.
Which
Mr. Dave, your friend Dave.
oh yes, my business partner. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a great example of someone who, you know, I, doves are very stubborn people, and once they set their sights on a goal, they will quietly, politely steamroll whatever's in their way.
Now wait, Dave will be listening to this, so be careful where we go here. You know?
Yeah, well, so David's probably the most competitive person I've ever actually met. Okay. But when you meet him at first, you don't see that. You just see a really nice guy, right?
Right.
He's a
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah.
So he's patient and he's listening to you and he's warm and he's friendly. But underneath that is an assassin.
Okay,
Okay.
let's get to the last one before we spend too much time on
On Dave,
David.
yeah, I'm gonna get in trouble here.
Yeah.
Um, so owls. So I'm gonna ask you again, Marty, what comes to mind when you think of an actual owl in the wild?
Uh, well, they seem to be well hidden. Number one, I guess. They seem to be very methodical. They seem to be plotting, thoughtful. Would be my take.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
watch over. You know.
They watch over. So most people think, when they think of an owl, they think of a wise owl, right? So owls have these big eyes. They can spot prey 2 football fields away at dusk. Insane powers of precision. Okay. But owls are also up all night while everyone else is sleeping, and they're hunting, which is pretty intimidating, right? I mean, they can swivel their heads 360 degrees, kind of creepy, right? So owls in the workplace, they're also intimidating. The difference is it's completely unintentional. And the reason that owls often intimidate is because they have exceptional powers of precision. They are the detail oriented, systematic, logical thinkers that are constantly striving for perfection.
Yeah.
And when you work for somebody or with somebody like that, and you're not really wired that way, then it can be a little intimidating. And owls often are genuinely surprised that they put other people on edge. But it's because I like to call the owls the guardians of integrity. Right? So I left this out, so I got to go back a little bit. The fundamental focus of doves is harmony, creating
Mm.
harmony in all relationships. The fundamental focus for owls is accuracy, absolute accuracy in all things.
Yeah. Do you know that I took your assessment?
I did not know that.
And would you like to guess what I am? Should we have some fun with this? No,
You
we
know
won't.
what? I'm going to play it a little bit cool. I'm not going to do that.
You're not taking the bait, huh?
I'm not taking the bait.
I am an owl.
Yeah. So,
Interesting.
okay. Owl, what? What was your secondary style?
I should have paid attention to that. I have it in front of me here someplace, probably an eagle, but I don't know. Because
Okay.
I talked to Scott about it. He says, you're an eagle, man. I says, well, I could see the owl. I could see the assessment. I could see that. It's
So, can
interesting.
you relate?
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
so
Oh,
can
yeah.
you
Yeah.
relate to the owl and the eagle the most? I mean, for you personally?
Probably. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, owls.
interesting.
Let me tell you, Marty. I got to go here. If you really are an owl eagles are twisted people.
Yeah.
Okay. And seriously, the reason is that you know it's a pressure cooker because for owl eagles, it's got to be perfect and it has to be done yesterday.
Yeah. Now.
Now, right?
Yeah,
And so that's a lot of pressure.
it is.
Right. And what's great about owl eagles is that they go really far in their careers. I mean, they tend to be quite successful because they're both ambitious and have such high standards.
Yeah.
Right. The
Yeah.
only problem is that they're so intense.
Everybody else around you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody else
Wear
around you.
people down. That can fatigue people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, all right, one more thing, and then I'll stop.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Most of us, the vast majority of us, are a blend of styles, right?
Sure.
So some of us are eagle parrots, eagle owls. We just talked about owl eagles, owl doves. And so when you take a profile like this, you got to keep in mind your secondary style is really important.
Yeah.
Because an eagle parrot is very different than an eagle owl. That secondary style is critical.
I would like to encourage people to take that assessment. It's on your website, but I also, correct me if I'm not accurate, I did it through orderdisc.com, which takes us into velocity. Am I
Yes,
correct there?
that is correct. Orderdisc.com.
Yeah. So anybody listening to this, I would recommend you do that. It was easy to access. You got the report immediately. I called Scott immediately and shared, and it was really fascinating. So I'm going to ask what should be an obvious question, but I'm going to be blunt. Why should we care? Well, why should company leaders, why should company owners really care? And what's the action steps when we learn this, Dan? Is that a fair question?
It's a great question. It's a great question. So, over the last 10, 15 years, there's been a whole lot of research done on the power of healthy cultures in driving business growth.
Yeah.
Meaning, if your culture is in the right place, then you're just going to be more productive and more efficient, and you're going to grow. And unhealthy cultures bring out the worst in people because we're human beings. And great cultures create fertile ground for folks to thrive. So, when you think about a culture is made up of individuals. And each individual comes in with, all kinds of preferences on how they like to be talked to, how they like to be managed, how they like to delegate, how they like to execute, right? And so to the extent that managers and leaders lean in their direction, right? What we like to say is match the moment, not the mirror.
Oh, yeah, great. I was going to bring that up. I'm glad you're going there. That's great.
Yeah.
Say that again. Match the moment, not the mirror. Explain that.
So what that means is, let's say I'm an eagle parrot leader. Okay, I got tons of drive, tons of conviction about where I'm going and where I want you to go, and I'm really charismatic. I'm a parrot. I'm optimistic, and I believe in you, right? Well, but you're not an eagle parrot. You're an owl dove, and what do you need? You need to be methodical. You need me to be patient. You need me to calm down and stop being so emotional and quick in my decision making. Why? Because you're wired very differently. You need time to think, time to rationalize, time to ask and answer questions. You need me to lead you. And that doesn't mean that your people should follow you in this sense. No, paradoxically. That means that you match them. So match the moment. If you're a manager or a leader and you're sitting across from someone of a different style, it's incumbent upon you to lean in their direction. Why? Because your goal is to surface the genius of other people. You're not there to be a genius. You're there to grow geniuses. How else can your business prosper to its potential? It's not all on you. You want to bottleneck that? It's not about you. It's about them. And so this is a shortcut to connecting with people on a deeper level so that they give you more. They give you their best thinking. They give you their best efforts. And they stay with you. Because why wouldn't they? You know how to talk to them. You know how to manage them. You know how to lead them. You know how to make the environment healthy for them. That's why you should do it.
Service the genius in others. Wow, that's a good one. Well, again, the subtitle is A Practical Guide to Achieving Extraordinary Success. This is a very practical discussion because something else you just said that really drove home to me is you keep them. People stay. That that usually translates into productivity, lower costs in terms of recruit and retention. That's a very practical application to what we're talking about. Would you agree?
Absolutely. COVID was obviously hugely traumatic for a lot of people. There's a lot of churn already because there's so much stress that's built up in everyone. A lot of people are looking for change just to get away from the stress of the last year. So how do you hold on to your top talent? Well, if you look at any of the research, money won't do it. It's not just about paying people more. But if you can connect with them and show them that this environment is good for them, is healthy for them, they get to prosper, they'll stick with you.
So you've answered this question, but I'd like to go a little deeper because I think some people will say take the assessment and say, "Well, I'm an eagle, and that's the best leadership style to have," or "I'm an owl, and I'm right, and that's the best leadership style to have." There is not a best leadership style, is there?
No.
Yeah.
Great leaders come in all forms, in all styles. Uh, if you look at top tech executives, for example, you'll see lots of owls. Like Mark Zuckerberg is a big owl. Bill Gates, obviously, a big owl. You go to other industries. I mentioned Richard Branson as a quintessential parrot. There are dove leaders out there. I'm going to date myself again, but I think Colin Powell stands out to me as a great example of a military dove leader.
Yeah.
And then you've got straight up eagle leaders. Wow, I'm freezing now. But who was a legend? Who was a legend from GE? Jack Welch.
Jack Welch. Yeah.
Yeah, classic eagle leader, right?
Oh yeah.
So great leadership comes in all forms. But the real trick is, how do you get the most out of your people?
That's right. That's the point we want to make, isn't it?
Yes,
Almost understanding what you are so that you can, whatever words you use, develop the genius in others. That's the mission, is it not?
it is. So we like to say, surface the genius of other people.
Surface the genius of other people.
So here's the thing: your people have no idea what they're capable of, and the fact is, you don't either. Okay, we're all a mystery. So how do you create an environment where people discover what they're capable of, and while they're doing that, they give it to you, to your organization? That's where the magic is.
That's where the magic is. Yeah.
When you reach people at a deeper level, then they're more likely to give it to you.
I've been so engaged in this conversation, I forgot to mention my guest again because I've been involved deeply. It's Dan Silvert, Silvert, or Daniel Silvert. You can find him on LinkedIn. The company that he's the president of is the VelocityAdvisoryGroup.com, VelocityAdvisoryGroup.com. You can go to the website, although you're making some positive changes in the website. You can still get information on the website, but I see there's some new changes coming, and that's exciting. And let's see here. Go back to, if you'd like to take the assessment, which I strongly suggest you do, go to orderdisc.com. Orderdisc.com. So a few more minutes, a couple of other questions, Dan, if you're okay. If you're good on time. You start out chapter 8 by saying this: humility is the pathway. Can you go a little deeper on that?
Sure. Think about someone that inspired you. Someone who brought out that "I will run through walls for you." The chances are pretty good that person had humility about who they were, what they were about, and they believed in you as a person. Mm-hmm. And if you think about it, a lot of us take ourselves too seriously. And at some point, it catches up to us because we think we're in control of everything. And then eventually we realize, oh, we're not in control. And that's humbling. Now, some of us are just born with that gift and don't have to learn it the hard way. But the rest of us learn it the hard way. Yeah. And when we do, we reach out and we discover what was really possible all along. Because the potential that's around us is always going to be much greater than what we alone can bring to the table.
Yeah. Yeah.
And humility unlocks that for us.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that in others. And yes, the people that have inspired me have had that trait or characteristic, whatever the right words are for it, So in terms of wrapping up, Dan Silvert, what did you want me to ask you that I didn't ask you? Or is there some way that you'd like to close to make sure that we wrap up strong and deliver your message?
Well, I think the message is pretty basic. It's not about you. It's about them. And what can you do to facilitate what is possible in others? And from our perspective, self-awareness, when we think about self-awareness, we think about ourselves, but it's actually the key to being curious about others. And to the extent that you ramp up that curiosity, you bring out the best in the people around you, you grow your business, and yes, you position your business for transition that much faster.
Well, speaking of transitioning, again, my name is Marty Wolff. My company, along with Scott Goods, is ContractorSuccession.com. We did a good job on branding. It is exactly what it sounds like. We help contractors primarily, although we are in other industries, including manufacturing, to help owners transition to a new life, new purpose, all those kinds of things. Dan Silvert's company is Velocity Advisory Group. They go across many different disciplines. They are in the contracting space. They're in manufacturing. They're in high tech. They're across the board. So Velocity does a lot in cultural work, and obviously the conversations that we're having with Dan today relates to any size business, any leader in any situation. So Dan Silvert of Velocity Advisory Group, thank you so much for being part of the Contractor Succession Podcast.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Contractor Succession Podcast. You can learn more about us at our website, contractorsuccession.com. You can also find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter.